So happy to be here. Hello. We are back with our second week here with our AMA with Operation Childcare Project. I'm Maria, and today we have an extraordinarily special guest, Nanny Yvonne. You may recognize her. She has lots of experience. Perhaps you've seen her on Nanny 911. After that, she beautifully served a family for over 15 years, which in itself is just such a testament to the relationship that you've grown with families. And recently, she has been utilizing those skills and experience to help research where we can address things when it comes to that early childhood education that we are really all fascinated about, and really a part of what OCCP is interested in is how do we create these loving, nurturing environments, whether they're at home, whether they're at school, whether they're in center-based care. What does it take to get there? So we are just grateful to have you here today, Nanny Yvonne.
Thank you, Maria. It's nice to be here. And I just want to say thank you for everyone's service. It's incredible. And I just have great empathy and respect for you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we are, I think we would say we're having fun. And I really hope that all military families that we get to connect with and that are listening today, whether they're leaders or families or folks that even don't have kids yet, but are excited about, hey, what does that look like in the future? We want to make sure that we are providing a little tidbit for everybody. So if you don't mind, I'd love to jump in. I've got lots of questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect.
I mean, really, childcare is the biggest piece of a huge piece of the puzzle. So yeah, let's get on it. Absolutely. Some schools have gone back, some haven't yet. So these, I'll just give you my ideas on what we can do about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know we jumped back in last week, and so we are going to benefit from this personally, and we're excited for everyone else will as well. So first question for you, school days, they can sometimes be a little stressful, especially if we're thinking about going back or once we get back into it. And often we have younger kids in the mix. So perhaps somebody's going off to kindergarten and there's little ones still at home, or the older grades, and then there's still younger ones. So lots of ages and lots of our families that we get to work with. How can a care provider prepare for those big feelings and sometimes feeling of overwhelm in children? How do you help figure out how to help them feel loved, even in the rush of the morning?
Well, it's interesting because it's all down to being totally organized and totally having routines. And really, as I said, something like we're a little bit behind here because what the routines should have kind of been implemented a little bit before school starts.
Right.
The earlier bedtime, the just reintroduce routines, bed, bath, book, bed. You can talk about school as well. You can make it exciting. I think excitement and laughter and positiveness is infectious. And if you can actually bring that to your children, and obviously with the caregiver, you've got to work as a team. So, as far as school lunches and things like that, then that should be really prepared the night before. Clothes, you should go through your closet and organize clothes so that you have the clothes ready for the school morning. So there isn't, for instance, a PE kit, like when they're going to do physical education or swimming, they might have swimming. Yeah. So you really need all of those routines on either a board or in a book to share with your caregiver. So they know exactly what to expect as well. So they're like, oh, did you remember? And you're like, oh, no. Okay, I'll get it. So everybody's working as a team. And again, if it's the first day at school, it's really exciting. You're going to have a great day. And if you can't be there, then I would suggest that the caregiver, what I would have said is before school starts is have a little play date with the new classmates. So you actually get to know them before you start school. But even so, with either yourself or the caregiver, network. Fun. If there's with the younger kids, a lot of schools have like a playground that you can go to after school. So you can do your networking there. The kids can play together. You can see, how things are getting on. So yeah, definitely networking and positive excitement in the morning and good job. And, it's contagious. I've always been that way. I've always actually used a lot of humor in my nannying, because you can diffuse all sorts of situations in that respect.
Oh gosh, you had about 50 tips in there. So let me pull out a couple that stuck out to me. That was awesome. I love the positive piece, right?
I'm
so
like,
no, this is perfect. I hope everyone's taking notes and they can watch it again if they need a little more encouragement they didn't catch the first time. So the things that
there's a written list as well, and I'm open to any questions if anybody wants to get in touch with me, after this is aired.
Thank you. That's such a gift. Okay, a couple of things I want to highlight. You had talked about positive, right? So the caregiver and parent really focusing on, this is the child, right? This is their childhood, and we want to help be facilitating that. So taking the time to get ourselves ready so that we can really be available for them. That's such a good reminder for me too.
Yeah.
I love the idea about the play date. And I'll give a quick example, right? We're a military family. We just moved. And so this summer I was trying to figure out what ways are we going to make sure that they don't look and feel like the new kid on day one. And let me just tell you, having that play date in advance that the school set up, and we had a couple opportunities, they just walked in and it was just, here we are.
That's the key. And the school usually sends you a list of who's going to be in their class. So with contact numbers. So get in touch with and organize it at the local playground. Get some pizza, make it a good day to network and have the kids play together. Yeah, you're right. Because if you know one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's perfect. And then I love the network. One of the things I, try to tell every family I work with is, grow your team. And part of that is in the classroom, in case perhaps you forgot something and somebody else has an extra. We had that with our school supplies this year. And it was just so grateful to have folks helping us out. Or, hey, sometimes you need to miss a drop off or pickup. But if you've grown that team early and often, that's really going to help you get after it. So, I love it. Okay,
totally. Next. Because somebody else's mother can take the child home and look after it until he can get there, and it's all about networking. And as an older nanny, I found I would do more networking with parents, but that's in a private setting. But obviously, it doesn't make any difference. But if you're a nanny and you don't know anyone either, then get yourself networking. It's a long day when you've got all those kids, for 8-10 hours a day. But when you can share it while they're playing, cuts it in half.
Yeah, I heard a quote at an event recently, and it was, the idea is the provider, or I say the parent, can only serve, right, the children for how much their cup is overflowing. So those needs have to be met as a nanny, right, as a trusted caregiver, as a teacher in a daycare setting, at a teacher in a school. Yeah. I love that.
You can get burnt out, and then you can't give what you haven't got. So you really do need to make sure that you bear that in mind. So really, organization for the first days of school is definitely a networking. That's my big two.
And I think I'm making a note for next year. We're going to do this earlier to make sure that folks have that time, right? To get
I'm not saying anything, but yes, it's a good idea.
Yep. Practice those bedtimes, practice those wake ups.
You can get so much more. You can even do dry runs to new schools. You can, it just makes so much more sense. But yeah, a week earlier next year. Sounds good.
You got it. Yes, ma'am. Okay, my next question. I'm paying attention to our chat too, and we'll get to those as they come in. Okay, next question. Again, we're pretty focused on military children, Nanny Yvonne. That's who we are generally serving in our case management, and so they're relocating a lot. Sometimes more often than they want to, or we want them to. But often they're leaving those peers, those support systems. And what we want to make sure is that we're really paying attention to is those kids that might be feeling isolated, sad, even angry right now at back to school because they had a good thing going at their last location, I hope. And this is something changing. So what are some tips as whether they're in the year or about to enter, that they can prepare for this transition?
Well, again, we can go back to the beginning of school preparations. I mean, if you have a class list, you could definitely have, get the whole class. I would say get the whole class together. Why not? Or even, no, I'm going to backtrack here. if the child's going into school and school's already started, then, and you haven't done any of the networking or the class play dates, etc., then make sure that you talk to the child and find out, like, if there's, you know, particular children that they particularly like, and should we have them over for a play date? That would be cool. We could go, you know, we could do all sorts of things. I mean, find out that they'll find their niche. I mean, I believe kids are really resilient, and they're better at it than we are, actually. And it's not just a military thing. I mean, it happens in you know, in the private sector as well. And a lot of parents can't be there for the first days, school days. They can't be there for certain, you know, highlights of the year. And that's where your caregiver, and that's why the importance of getting a good caregiver comes in, because they're going to be your second mum. They're going to be, I was always a second mum for 15 years with this family I was with, and that's why it worked. You know, if she couldn't be there, I was there. Or we'd both be there. I mean, he used to sort of say we've got two mums, which, you know, was fine by us. But yeah, and communication. I mean, you really do need to sit down and talk to these kids and see how they are getting on, and you know, explain to them that there's an exciting new start. You never know who you're going to meet, and you never know where they've been to, and just make it exciting, really exciting, even if you're full of dread and like, just find out how they're feeling. But yeah, go back to the networking again. That's pretty much what you should do before school starts. So next year we're going to be early.
No, you got it. And you already started into our next question, which we were trying to figure out. You know, you've had so much experience, especially with little ones, whether they're in, you know, a straightforward family situation or with a little more complications based on relationships or based on location. And so what are some of your phrases that you like to use, and how do you engage with these little ones, knowing that there might be higher emotions or concerns around this move and going to school? So I just want to hear some of your favorite phrases and how you connect with little ones, and how you recommend families and care providers.
I'd actually take it that, you know, I don't know whether people love Dr. Seuss, but, you know, one of my favorite books is "Oh, the Places You Will Go," and I actually wrote a quote down because it's just so cute. The more you read, the more things you will know. The more you learn, the more places you will go. And just make it like a magical place where they're going to learn to read, and that opens up a whole new world, and they're going to meet new people. Again, it's just being positive, and it's being, I know the social, in fact, that's a lot of the research we're doing at the moment is into social emotional side of early childhood education. So it's been fascinating for me, and how important it really is to nurture, you know, those skills. So I won't get into that, because otherwise you'll have me on here for hours and I'll just be going on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, with books, you know, why not get a book on style? You know, just, I think enthusiasm and positivity is contagious. And I think, you know, and how exciting it's going to be when you go to pick them up, and then we can go to the playground, or we can go get an ice cream, maybe not every day, but you know, in the beginning, you know, just spoil them.
Absolutely.
And really get your favorite books. Like, if you look for lines on books, famous quotes even, and just things like that, you can really touch their imagination. And again, it's their imagination. You need to have one too, and don't forget that you have got one. And just, you can imagine between you and the child, you know, like, I mean, write it, but you could actually talk a story together, you know. And then she went, and what did she see? You know, and then the child gets engaged. All right, here I go again. I'm going on and on.
No, I love it. Okay, so one more question, because I really, someone said something recently, and it was tangible takeaways. And so I really, for this, I want them to be some more emotional things we can do immediately with our precious little ones. And So I know sometimes it's we get up and we're committed to being positive and we already start going. But how can you recommend to us as parents and providers to just engage in those first moments in the morning, and perhaps those first moments when I see them at the end of the day? What can we do to really just get to their heart, get to their mind, secure them in the day, and then go after what we need to get done?
Well, again, I don't believe in sort of talking down to children. So what I would say is, you're going to have such a good day, and I'm so proud of you. And I am going to be waiting until the minute I pick you up from school. And then when you pick them up, it's going to be so exciting. I mean, I used to have kids just run into my arms because they were so excited to see me. But it would be like, did you have a good day? What happened? Did you make any good friends? What did you do? Again, I'm a very excited person.
Yeah, well, I can see why they love it, right? I mean,
well, yeah, I'm a kid. I'm totally a kid. I just never got. I looked older, but I never got older. But yeah, no, I make it like, and it's going to be so great when I pick you up. But again, you're just going to have such a great day. I'm so proud of you. I mean, that's a really good one. And you're going to learn something new today. And I want you to tell me when you come home, what you learned today, and just, again, excitement. I mean, when you say tangible takeaways, I could write a list for you.
Please do.
No, I will. I'll write a list and I will give them to you for tangible takeaways. I didn't quite get that from the question, but
no, that's perfect.
Again, so use me as a resource.
Oh, I love that. I know I'm trying to, that first thing in the morning, make sure that I'm approaching them and for a hug and letting them hug as long as they want. That's my little thing I'm trying to work on, because by the time they're getting up, a lot of parents have already been up for a while and they're already off to the next thing. And so really, for me, it's pausing.
Do you have your caregiver come in that early, or are you just on your own at that point?
Well, either way, I'm trying to find a way to have, at least if it's not in the morning, to your point, if I've already, fluttered away for the day, then I'm literally keeping a list, like, who have I not connected with today? Because I just want to hold myself accountable to that, and really make sure that teeny investment, whatever it is something they can count on each day.
No, I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that like, if you're not going to be there when they come back home,
right,
make sure they know that you're not.
Yeah. Good one. That's a great one. If there's new, like, after school care, making sure you're communicating.
Just make sure that they're very, I mean, kids, thrive on routine and expectations. And so if they get thrown a curveball, then that can really get them upset. So if you don't show up and your nanny shows up, for instance, I know it happens, but if it shouldn't matter if your caregiver is as good as you, that would be just as well. But
we'll have a conversation about that later, Nanny Yvonne. We want to make sure that
we're
helping.
We've got loads of conversations to have. I'm so excited.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you know what? I'm going to wrap it up for today. I want to value your time and all of our folks that are reading now. But I think we have a whole list of things that we would love your opportunity to invest in with our families in the future. But I'm just so grateful for your time today. You've got your website up there for folks to have some resources, and I think we might be able to partner on a couple to share with our families as they get excited. Even if your year already started, every day is a new day, and so there's always a way.
Absolutely, and you can still get organized, and you still are organized. You can still network. You can relax. It happens every year.
It does. Well, thank you so much for your time. And it's the gift of your experience for our families. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
Oh, I do too, Maria. All right. You take care, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, Nanny Yvonne. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Send your questions, and I'll write those